Today I'm with Sandra here, most known as Saya, and we're going to talk how traveling can be such a nice tool to find yourself. Saya, you've been traveling intermittently for 4 years. What made you start traveling?
I think it was an inner call. I just felt I needed to break up all the things that society was telling me that was the right path to follow, and actually start drawing my own way. I do also think that long and solo travelers are seekers, and so I felt that I wanted to undress my identity in order to connect with others in a level of empathy that will allow me to understand and perhaps feel the way other beings were experiencing life, to have a bigger spectrum of what actually life was about. And I wanted to open my heart to be more comprehensive about human behavior and its complexity, and learn how to love this world in a pure, non-judgmental way.
Why nowadays seems that traveling is a need and it's part of the fashion?
Well, that's the deal, nowadays the media is selling us that we have to travel and explore the world. Nothing forward to saying us to spend money in other countries. Many countries live fully from tourism, and for me it's so sad to see how tourism is actually killing countries. I have seen entire countries struggling because the price of the living is not adapted to the country, but to the wallet of those tourists that are visiting it. So people are losing the integrity and start to find business out of any possible thing just in order to survive, and it starts looking at the foreigners as money and not as human beings. And I think you just have to travel to undeveloped countries to see how people is desperate to sell you a tour or to find you a bed in a hostel. They see you as the rescuers and someone who is going to give them money, and that's something that we should really be careful about, because being a traveler doesn't mean that you are rich. It just means that you are an explorer.
How do you define an authentic traveler? Do the countries that you visit and the time you spend in them matter?
Well, I think that's a complex question, but I would say that the number of countries that you visit doesn't really matter. What does really matters is how fully present you are wherever you decide to be. And I think that the time is also very important, because it requires time to get to know a country, to see what's going on there. And of course, out of what you heard about it and what media has told you about it. It's a fact that unless you allow yourself to be there without a clock, you will not get to the essence of the country. You cannot go to its soul. So, as per me, an authentic traveler is someone who doesn't care about sharing its life story with others or pretend to show where it has been, but someone who is trying to take the adventure as a way to learn about oneself, and it's trying to be more humble and compassionate, and most of all, someone who sees the rest of the world as part of itself, and therefore with equality and respect.
So, I've seen that you do photography. Why do you do it, and what does it mean for you?
Well, as most people know, photography is nothing else than drawing with light. And so I use the language of the image as a bridge to come closer to the world I live. And I use it to talk about things that concerns me and that touches me. And most of the times I like to express loneliness and solitude in my pictures, and I like to base my images in compositions that follow curves or that have perspective. And all of my pictures actually have a story behind, and for me it's fascinating to be talking silently. I find amazing how an image can tell you so much through its shadows and lights, and how magnificent it's the fact that we can preserve and freeze a moment and keep it eternally. Sometimes I like to see those old pictures of a moment in time and observe how things changed over the years.
Why all of your pictures are in black and white?
Because I feel that the color is destructive, and also because what matters to me in a picture, it's not if it's beautiful or not, but the message behind and the fact that the picture is actually touching something within you. I feel that on a grayscale you get to have a deeper understanding and a clear concept of what's behind the scenario, and that's kind of hidden in front of someone who is watching the picture superficially. And I would say that, as per me, the light has more softness and more shades on a grayscale.
As a philosopher, could you explain to me what did Aristotle say? Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
Well, it's so great that you mentioned him, and I wonder we could bring him back to life and invite him to take a tea with us and ask him personally what did he mean when he wrote that quote. But if you ask me, I would say that as per me, he was just telling us that all the knowledge comes within, and that everything emerges from the inner self. These plays yet to be explored on a deeper level. I also think that it's very important to dedicate our existence to the ultimate understanding of ourselves and our connection with the outside world, which is nothing else but the manifestation of the inner. And it is crucial to be in the constant practice of compassion and the elimination of the ego and the selfishness, to be creating a more loving and tolerant world.
Thank you so much for being with me today.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much.